It was past midnight when the last bus left without me. The station was nearly abandoned. No announcements, no workers in sight. Just the distant sound of rain tapping against the roof and a flickering vending machine buzzing like a dying fly. Out of desperation, I approached the only lit booth. The woman inside didn't look up. Her face was pale, her eyes almost sunken. I asked for the next train heading west. She slid over a thin paper ticket with a number scribbled in red ink. Carriage 13. When I asked where it stops, she muttered, "It doesn't. Just stay seated. And don't talk to the others." Before I could respond, the window slammed shut behind her. The platform was foggy when I stepped out. The train was already waiting, long silent, as if it had been expecting me. The carriage was dim. The only light came from a single overhead bulb that flickered like it was shorting out. The walls were old wood, scratched and stained. Dust hung in the air like smoke, for passengers were already inside. One man in a trench coat, motionless. A woman in a red dress, her hands folded tightly in her lap, and two children sitting side by side, staring straight ahead. No one moved. No one acknowledged me. I took a seat near the back and tried to relax. But when I glanced at the window across from me, I froze. Their reflections were moving. They were whispering to one another, smiling, watching me, but in reality they sat perfectly still. With a jolt, the train began to move. The conductor's voice crackled through a dusty speaker above the door. Next stop, nowhere. Estimated arrival, never. I chuckled nervously, thinking it was a joke. But when I looked outside, there was nothing but blackness. No trees, no stations, just a tunnel of shifting shadows. I tried standing, but the floor trembled beneath me, as if the train were alive, humming with some internal pulse. Then I noticed something strange. We weren't slowing for anything. No curves, no turns, just one endless, accelerating path into complete darkness. My phone had no signal, and every clock on the wall was stuck at 3 a.m. Footsteps echoed softly from the front of the car. The conductor approached, tall, thin, and dressed in a tattered black uniform. His face was hidden beneath a gray sack, tightly bound with barbed wire around the neck. He didn't speak. Instead, he leaned down to examine each passenger. His gloved fingers gently touched their temples. Each time he nodded slowly and moved on. When he reached me, he paused. Couldn't move, couldn't breathe. He tilted his head like he was listening to something inside me. Then, through the fabric, I heard a muffled voice. "You weren't on the list." Before I could say anything, he turned and disappeared. Not toward the exit, but straight into the dark between two seats, like the shadows had swallowed him whole. I was ready to run, but there was no emergency brake, no way to switch cars. The other passengers remained frozen, as if waiting for something. Then I noticed it. At the far end of the carriage, where there had only been a solid wall before, now stood a black wooden door. It had no handle, but it pulsed slightly, like lungs inhaling, exhaling. One of the children stood. Without hesitation, they walked toward the door. The woman in red didn't flinch. The man didn't blink. The child placed their hand on the door, creaked open. Only darkness inside, thick and moving like smoke. They stepped through without turning back. And the moment they did, I looked at their seat. The child's reflection was still there, still smiling, still staring at me. I couldn't take my eyes off the seat. The child's reflection, the one who had just walked through the door, was still there. It blinked, tilted its head, and smiled. My heart pounded. I backed away from the window, but it was like the glass itself was watching me. Then the door creaked again. Another passenger rose. This time, the woman in red. She walked slowly, as if pulled by invisible strings, and disappeared into the same pulsing blackness. Again, her reflection stayed behind. What was going on? The man in the trench coat stood next. "No," I muttered. "Don't." He paused, turned to me. His face, it wasn't a face at all, just a smooth, stretched surface. Skin where features should have been, as if someone had erased him. And then he too stepped through the door. The train groaned. Lights flickered. The floor began to warp beneath my feet. I was alone, except I wasn't, because now all 4 passengers' reflections were staring at me, smiling, whispering, pointing, and then my own reflection blinked. But I hadn't. I froze. My reflection leaned forward, pressed its hands to the other side of the glass. Its mouth moved. "Your turn." The train screeched to a halt. I turned. The black door stood wide open. Inside, a hallway of mirrors, each one filled with faces I didn't recognize, except for one, me, but older, broken, empty. I backed away, but the carriage began to shrink. Walls closing in, floor bending, seats vanishing into shadow. I screamed. No one heard. The mirrors flickered, and the door slammed shut behind me. That no conductor remembers it pulling in. Asterisk. But sometimes, late at night, you'll find a paper ticket tucked in your pocket. No name, no date, just 2 words. Next ride. And when you turn to the window, you'll see your reflection, smiling,